we got to have an exciting one today. So, welcome back, everyone, to OCS episode 6. It's been 6 already. I can't believe it. The guys can't believe it. But before we get started, special thanks to our audience, as always, the OCS family. First things first, or second things second, right? Give us a big war cry for all of you people who understand military cry. Whoa! Thank you to Nick, as always. That's a weak Thank you to Nick, as always. Matt from Almost Functional, as always. And we have a wonderful special guest with us today. We have Mr. Todd Morrison from Dice, Death, and Robots. What's going on, Todd?
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well, man. How's everyone else doing? How we doing, Nick? How we doing, Matt?
I got a little bit of a cold, but other than that, I'm doing great.
You'll get through it. Just rub some dirt on it, it'll go over in a little bit. And before we get started, right, I've already publicized this in a few channels. People are aware. We are going to be doing some special prizes. Before we do that, right, I'm going to show everyone, before we go to the promotion from Baron of Dice, I'm going to show everyone what we're basically giving away. So it's going to be a tote bag. And if you've ever been to any of my Grand Onslaughts events, right, it looks very similar to what we've had there. Also, it's going to be a selection of your own objective marker. This looks Slaneshi, right? This one, I have one of these. It's definitely World Eaters. This one looks like Black Templar. And I know Todd has one of these because I gifted him one of these Necron wines because he's a big Necron lover. So whatever you want, right? Whatever they have on the website, we're going to be able to give away out to you for the people who are subscribing. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, share with the world, right? Let everyone know what we're doing here, all the training, assisting you in being a more knowledgeable player. Now, a word from our sponsor. Now with a word from our sponsor, Baron of Dice. Baron of Dice is your one-stop shop for premium wargaming dice. Our dice are made with premium resin materials and colored dyes. Each die is hand-mixed to the desired result and then carefully swirled with 2, 3, or 4 colors in a silicone mold before being laser engraved with a wicked symbol and finished in a matte or gloss polish. There are no imperfections in our dice, no balancing issues, no micro bubbles or mold lines. This is the difference between. You can, quite literally, feel and hear a difference with our dice. Whatever game you play, whatever style your team or faction rocks, we're sure to have something to elevate your game. With over 500 styles and over 4,000 customer reviews, welcome to the best dice on the planet. Now back to our show. All right. And once again, thank you to Baron of Dice, being one of the show's newest sponsors. Also, before we get started and talking to Todd, I always want to give a big thank you out to everyone who has subscribed. And if you haven't, please do so now. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. Special hug to Nick Pratt. He gifted me this beautiful mic several weeks ago, might have been a couple months ago. Thank you to him, as always. I'd like to give him a big shout out and thank you on every show. He has done something special for OCS, Onslaught Gaming itself. As always, love me some Almost Functional, which is Matt Douthat, right? Tricky Nick, which is our pro player's perspective, right, on how the game plays out, things like that. And special thank you to our special guest that we have today, Todd. And also, make sure to watch Art of War and Hobby Goblins. Go check out their YouTube for all exciting content. Don't forget to go check out OCS episode 7 in about 2 weeks, where we're going to sit here and talk about the ATC Florida that I'm going to be judging at here in Tampa, Florida, Clearwater, Florida. We're going to talk to the winners of that. So hopefully it'll be you. 5 participants are going to be in the show with us all. We'll talk to them, kind of break down their games, how everything went for them, how their experience was at the ATC Florida event. And as always, special thank you to the community. All right. So before we get started with all of the show stuff that we have going on, the official OCS training, right? I kind of wanted to plug Todd in. I've known Todd. We were just talking previous to the show that we've known each other a lot longer than I remember knowing each other. We met at this gentleman's house named Cameron, right?
Yeah, it was Cameron's house he ran a house RTT it was called end of 8th edition RTT. So that's how long back it's been.
Wow. It was the end of 8th edition.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So at least 6-ish years or something like that, potentially?
Yeah, give or take, yeah.
Okay. So first thing I want to get into with you. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do, who you are, things like that. Where you live, what's your social security number?
Not my social. Maybe the first 3, but not the last 4, right?
What was the name of your first pet?
Pet, right? Like, I don't know. It's been a while. So I am Todd for everyone who is watching at home. I am head of Dice Death and Robots, both the team and also the entity that's running events here locally in Sarasota. We've been running events locally at Darkside in Sarasota for the last 2.5 years, give or take. So that's my own little side project. And then on the front lines, you guys see us more at events. It's like I'm the team captain for the Dice Death and Robots team.
Always.
And as far as like the events, I'm all about sportsmanship, bringing the community together, getting everyone to get more education on how to play better, getting everyone to amp up to go to Lewis's events. I like to run a lot of qualifiers for him when he's having some really big ones. That's always a good time to get to support Lewis. Me and him work in cahoots together. So every time I have rules questions, I want to make sure that we're doing everything equally. So when you guys come down to Sarasota, have an event with us, you know it's the same experience you're going to have with Lewis that you've already had probably numerous of times.
Absolutely. And also, so how long have you been playing Warhammer 40K?
I have been playing since like probably a year into 8th edition. I luckily got to escape the Castellan, Guardsman, and Blood Angel lists that were going on competitively during 8th edition. Yep. And my first army was Necrons. I had got warning that there was a bad codex when I was getting into it, but I said I don't care. That's my faction. I've known about 40K since I was in like middle school, high school. Was playing the Dawn of War games, and that was like kind of the faction that drove me to the game. It didn't matter if it was good or not. I was enjoying I love the sculpts. I love the faction itself, the lore behind it. And then 9th edition really kicked up my competitive edge on it, where I was like, okay, I really want to get better at this game. Had a lot of coaching with a lot of our local people, a lot with you. And yeah, I've been going to bigger events every year and hopefully keep going.
All right. With that being said, what is your day one army? I know what your current army is. I don't think I recollect exactly what your day one is, but it might be the same one that I know that it is today. You know, the army that makes you love Warhammer. What's your day one?
Oh, Necrons. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. I mean, I have obviously multiple factions. I love World Eaters. I like Harlequins, but Necrons is like if I just want to play the game, I'll play my Necrons. It's usually where it's at.
So you judge and organize events at Darkside in Sarasota, Florida,
yes.
Right? Shout out to Darkside, wonderful location, big store, beautiful space, great product there. How did you and why did you get that started? How did that go about entirely?
So Dice Death and Robots kind of started actually here at the house. As you guys see behind me, we have a streaming studio that we're working on getting up. So during COVID, when all the stores were closed, we had nowhere to really play as a local community. So we ended up turning my house into a RTT building. So every month I was running local RTTs. Yeah. Actually, where I met Garrett from Cigar City. He actually came down randomly and just walked into my house to play an RTT.
But that was the Todd's House Invitational Classic.
Yeah, exactly.
Cigar City, right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, my wife has no complaints about it. She loves the game just as much as I do. So us having, 14 tables set up in our house, it was never an issue. And it was a way for us to start building a community that was, during COVID, everyone kind of remembers, like everyone was kind of dissipated. When COVID was starting to alleviate and we knew that there was no longer a TO at Darkside, I kind of approached Brian. I was like, hey, I've been cultivating this group of competitive players that want to come play. My wife can't keep holding us in our house all the time. So what do you say about us running events in your store? And came down to it, and he was a little skeptical, I think, at first, but I think after within the first 3 events, he was very impressed with what we were putting on for him, and it's been amazing ever since. We've expanded our space there to where we can have 24 players at a time. I keep up with all the current rules and any changes that's going on for 9th edition and now 10th edition. So and he's supporting us all the way. Actually just had a conversation with one of the store people, and they're probably going to get us at a bigger event next year for maybe a GT level. We'll see.
Love it.
Nice.
Love to hear it. And last thing before we get started with everything else, any shout outs, anything you might want to say? I know you were saying a couple of things right now about big events. Anyone you want to kind of plug in? Shout out maybe to wifey, say thank you for everything in life.
Yeah, if I gotta say, for those who know me, who've seen me and our team out, and everyone knows Kate. Kate's an amazing player to play against, and yeah, without her behind me and supporting us and supporting what I'm doing for the community and what she provides for also in the enjoyment of the game, I don't think I'd be where I'm at right now. So yeah, kudos to my wife. Amazing person. Couldn't chose a better partner.
She is. And I lied. That wasn't the last thing. So, this is OCS Training. This is an educational show with some fun, right? So
Right.
What can you teach the community today about the game? Anything that you can add? If not, you can add it later on if you need to think about it, stuff like that. Any rules? Maybe your understanding of Necrons. If we have Necron players who are watching right now, right? Any tips and tricks? Anything you can share?
I think the newest trick that was brought up to my attention, which as seldom and rare as it comes to happen, is that in Canoptic Court, when you are using the ability to move 6 inches when the opponent lands within 9, you can actually use the Wraith's ability to drop bombs on another target because it's considered a normal move. A lot of people do not realize that. And honestly, I played at 2 major events, a GT, your GT, and 2 RTTs before I even realized that was even a thing. And I was like, oh, feel a little silly. Not that it comes up enough, but just to be aware of it, that if an opponent has a unit that close by, you could just do some cheeky mortal wounds as you're moving.
Absolutely. And that's what we love about this game, right? It's all about the tips and tricks, teaching people new things. And I appreciate that very much for you sharing that with everyone here. So what everybody's been waiting for, right? Let's go ahead and share. This is a continuation of what Tricky Nick did from last episode 5, right? Amazing show, very educational piece that he did with all of the Leviathan missions secondaries, right? That was amazing. We're going to do a continuation to that. Thank you very much, Nick, for that one. And I'm going to continue out with a little bit more for the missions that are going to be played out this Saturday and Sunday at ATC Florida. That is hosted by Away Games and also sponsored by Onslaught Gaming, which is myself. And you can see in the background, right, with the big banner. I will be one of the judges there. We're also going to have a Hobby Goblin judge by the name of Eric. Tim Wright should also be there too, helping out to judge. We're going to have a bunch of people. I know Nick's going to be there playing.
Yeah.
I know Matt's not in the area. Matt lives in Mars or something like that. so he's not local right now. He didn't have the opportunity to come down. I miss you, bud. I wish I could see you in person, but I get to see you just about every Tuesday, right? And obviously you're going to be there, Todd, right? So
oh yeah, I'm excited.
That's going to be fun. So here we go. Show a little bit here to everyone. So can everyone see that? Everybody good?
Yep.
Thumbs up. All right. So to get started, this is part of the Leviathan Tournament Companion, right? Where we talk about A, E, F, M, and O. Those are the missions from the companion set that came, I want to say, day 1 of 10th edition. It's also shared on digital download from Warhammer community as well. So if you want to follow along with a couple of these things, you can actually see what the missions are about. But there are 5 missions being used, and they're all GW layouts for ATC Florida. Mission A from the companion guide is predominantly known as one of the best missions, and it's for beginners. I put a maybe caveat in there because sometimes that mission doesn't suit some players, right, or some factions entirely. But I think, in a big consensus on the community, is that a lot of people think that that's an awesome one. Also, E, one of the best and advantageous were great positioning, right? I believe that E, if you use it correctly on the mission itself, if you position correctly on the mission, you can do a lot of work. It can be very advantageous for you, right? F is quite risky and random to figure out what objective to control. M is great for indirect and not so great for MSU units. O, it is incentivized to take enemy objective early for big VPs. And a little bit about the GW layouts. All right. So, number one, layout 1, GW layout 1 is a parking lot in the center. It's great for all deployment types, even for like a Dawn of War, things like that. Layout 3, GW layout 3 is great for almost all deployments except for Hammer and Anvil. Layout 4, so we're not using layout 2. So layout 4 is good for almost all deployments except for Dawn of War. Basically, the way that it's positioned, right, it doesn't give you the ability to really do Dawn of War on that one. It has these terrain pieces that goes there that are kind of sideways, right? And it's just not incredibly great for Dawn of War. Mission Pool A, right? So let's talk about Mission Pool A. Deployment is search and destroy. Like I was saying, it's probably one of the best, right? It's dynamic in games and table quarters. Great for fast armies, especially close combat going first. The vertical objective marker is about 12 inches away. So it's very close, very, very close to hold, or to control, rather, because hold is gone since 9th edition. So it's control now. And you just share your OCS. And for people who don't know, because I was asked this last weekend at Rubicon, one single model can control multiple objective. It's not like 9th edition. And you just share your OC in however way you want to share that. That doesn't mean that if you're OC 5, you break it down to 3 and 2, you're just 5 here, or 5 on both, right? Also, there's another objective marker that's 24 inches between the home and vertical. So it makes it very easy to do like this triad type of controlling of objective markers. The layouts are pretty sound. You can hold your objectives behind ruins pretty well. On layout 3, it's a little bit different. The vertical and centers are a little bit more open. And on layout 4, home can be held behind a ruin, but the center is semi-hidden, and the vertical is wide open in most situations. Also, for the primary missions, you guys have anything to say to add on to that?
Oh yeah, so I guess this one is just considered the best. I would say Mission A is considered the best one because it very, very little complaints, very, very well balanced, and there's no jank in there. There's not you just play 40K, right? There's no special rules, nothing like. Yeah,
and it's great for a player like me that has world eaters, right? You get that 18-inch deployment between the search and destroy, right? And then you're just there so much faster. I send jackals out to that 12-inch away from the deployment zone line, right? They grab those effectively pretty fast. If I do an auto 6, right, I can grab it essentially, unless I roll for it, and then it gets very risky and look at the draw there. But yeah, that's good insight on that.
It definitely encourages that triangulation, as you said. Like you want to control the one north of your deployment zone, and then you're kind of more fighting that midline. So like, unless you're going against an army like World Eaters where they don't care, they're just coming forward. But like you could kind of play that like, who's holding mid, and that's kind of like will dictate, who's actually scoring more primary, who's actually able to hold that midpoint is kind of a bigger thing on that mission layout, specifically search and destroy and those objective placements.
And like I was mentioning before, right? Primary mission is taking hold.
Mhm.
All right. There was a little bit of feedback there for someone. So I had to clean that up a little bit. So primary mission is taking hold. So great for beginners, right? 5 VP for each and any objective they hold for a maximum of 15. Like I was saying before, right? It has that triangle type of style of objective controlling, right? With minimal movement. So it makes it very easy to grab and control those objectives. And the mission rule itself is chill and rain. So no conditions, no problems there, right? Makes it very easy. Then we go on to the second mission that's going to be played out. We got Mission Pool E. Mission Pool E is also one of the best with sweeping engagement, right? I really like this play style. I also catch a lot of people off guard, especially with. I'm going to keep on referencing World Eaters because those are my babies right now. Until the orcs drop, and hopefully Speed Freaks are amazing, right? That's always been my jam. I know people hated them from last edition. They were like, super OP. I get it. I still play them because that's always been my babies, just like the Harlequins. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. The Games Workshop makes things broken. I just like to play them at that point in time. And I continue to play them. Even when they nerf it, I continue to play them.
Badrick's gone. Badrick's gone. No more freebooters. They've been removed from the game.
I heard about that.
Surely orcs are balanced now without Badrick.
Yeah, I know. I like if he was breaking anything, really, right? So, well, we should see. Also, with that being said, we're gonna drop something on Almost Functional. Me, Nick, and Matt. We're gonna be talking about a review on both of the codices. When we have some more information, when we have full information, right? Like we don't want to give you guys information on something that is half parsed, right? And it's some leaks or something that is out there and it can be completely unofficial information. So we're going to wait for that. So get excited for that as well. Back to sweep and engagement on Mission Pool E. If deployed efficiently, can be a good positional game, right? And that's what I was talking about kind of with the World Eaters. A lot of people in that mission, they like to do the Napoleon type of segregation where they put a unit in a corner because they think they're going to cover this flank, and then they put their massive units or conglomerate of units all in the center, right? And then another one unit or two on the right hand little triangle portion. That usually doesn't work in most games that I've seen. I've exposed people for deploying like that because what I'll do is I'll take that entire World Eaters and I'll shove them to one corner, which is usually the larger half of the triangle, right? I'll shove them to that corner, kind of turn it into a hammer and anvil, right? And then hit their entire flank with my entire army, right? And that exposes everything. Now that unit gets chewed on, right? And then half of your armies that were in the or half of your units that were in the center get eaten up as well. And then all you have remaining is half of what you had in the center and the little portion that was on the little triangle side, right? So try to be cognizant when you're deploying on those, right? To try to keep your stuff not entirely castled, right? Like you don't always want to do castling. It's not super effective, especially with a smart close combat player, right? Because if I come in there with my Hell Brute and you have a unit that's 4 inches away, another unit that's 4 inches away, another unit that's 4 inches away, I'm just going to tag them all, right? I'm just going to tag them all. And if you have fight first, it's really going to feel bad. It's really going to feel bad because for those of you who are not aware, another rules tip, right? Fight first is the first step in the fight phase, right? There's 2 steps to the fight phase, and fight first is first, right? So if at the beginning of the fight phase, I start off, and let's say I tank shock the unit, right? Kill them in tank shock in the charge phase. And now I'm just sitting there in the middle, right? And I'm 4 inches away from you. Your fight first, that goes first. You're not engaged with anyone. Now I go. And I move 3 inches, get an engagement range with you, right? And now you no longer have fight first, right? So I get to fight first. So just be cognizant of those type of things. I like to teach people that all the time when I'm on the table as well. It catches people off guard. People try to say that it's a got you moment. It's really not. It's just knowing the rules in depth, and this is why we do this show, so you know the rules just like we know the rules, right? And any portion that I know, Nick, Matt, and Todd, of course, himself, right? Also, for Mission Pool E, it's taken hold, of course. 5 VP for any objective marker that you hold for a maximum of 5. Now, the mission rule is chosen battlefield, right? Now, this is completely subjective depending on what event you go to, right? I know that myself at Onslaught Gaming and Todd run fixed centers, right? It doesn't completely fix it, no pun intended, but it makes it a lot better and less skewed than it would be to have 3 objective markers on one end and 2 objectives on another end. I believe it was Harvster that was on the show here and actually talked on another show as well, that he kind of got exposed in the last game at the Tampa Open by doing that. The Sisters of Battle player put a bunch of objective markers out in the open. He hid them behind ruins, right? And when they went to go roll off to pick sides, attacker and defender, he lost. And he got all the objectives that were in the open. And being a World Leaders player, holding objectives in the open is no bueno. For those of you who don't understand Spanish, that's no good. Okay, so try not to be too sneaky and tactical. It can really bite you in the butt in the long run, right? So like I said, fixed centers are usually the best. I know most tournament organizers usually do that. Todd, you do that, correct? You do fix your centers?
I do, and almost like I kind of warn the players too. It's like if anyone ever asks, like, "Hey, look, well, the rule doesn't say that." It's like, well, you have two. If you do the way the actual rule is read for the actual mission, right, where it's like your one opponent's placing 3, the other one's placing 2, and you can lopside it and also kind of screw yourself over because there's also the rolling for deployment zone that happens. The placing the objectives is happening before you know what side you're taking. So you could, I won the roll off to deploy more objective markers. I'm going to go here behind ruins, and then your opponent wins the roll off for the choosing deployment zones. They're like, hey, thanks, I'm going to take that side now. So it's like it just kind of also stops that a little bit as well because like you said, it's like there gets to a point where it's you want to be fair, but you also want to get some kind of advantage out of placing the objectives, but not to the point where it skews the game solely off of a single dice roll before the game even begins.
No, true indeed. That's great insight.
For all these for all the ATC events as well, including Florida ATC, they're going to do fixed center objective. So it fixes the imbalance issue that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard for some reason though, like some people are not doing that at some events. Like, why not? I guess they don't want to change the game, and I totally get that, right? Like, with all due respect, I respect other tournament organizers. When I go to events, right? I've been to events where people didn't want to run the WCW last year, right? That's fine. Like, I just assimilate and I play whatever it is at that event itself. But I don't know in this scenario why they wouldn't do that. But if they don't, then I'll just adjust and I'll try to make sure that, I can do what I can do.
I believe the GW at GW Tacoma last year, they also the TO specified that they should fix the center as well, even though it's not on the card. So that was they set that back then, I think. So
Nick, I can't remember. Do you remember for Tampa Open? Did they actually? Because I think we played that mission at Tampa Open, didn't we?
I don't remember, but there's if you watch the I think the finals was chosen battlefield. Like Jack played in the finals against Sisters, and I think if you watch it, I'm pretty sure they played with the fixed center. I'm pretty sure, almost 100% sure.
Yeah, it's just in the best interest, I think, of both players at the table that mission should be.
It really is, because if you look at the whole packet, like I mean, every mission has a fixed center objective except for Vital Ground. That's the only one. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, by the way, everyone, Matt's not feeling too excellent today, so he's trying to be super polite, and I'm telling him just hang out, give his insight when he can, and we all hope that he feels better. So everyone, give him a napkin for his tears.
Not the tears. I just worried about the sniffing in my voice and clear my throat.
You're
and
good,
annoying
brother.
everybody.
We all love you, man. We all love you, brother. You're good. You're good, man. You're good. So we've covered A, we've covered E. We're going to cover F now, right? Max, I'll get to all of your questions here shortly. Unless Nick, if you want to help me out, answer his questions. He just wants a little bit of insight and kind of go off of that and anything that's going on in the chat. I can't see anything. I'm literally just going off the whim and remembering what we see here. But Mission F is search and destroy. Once again, right? Dynamic games and table quarters. So you're going to get 2 opportunities to get to do search and destroy. Awesome games as always. The difference being with this one is, right, it's going to be supply drop. And supply drop can be pretty gnarly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supply drop is 5 BP for each objective that you control in no man's land. Once again, it's a triad style where you can control with minimum movement because of the search and destroy, right? Alpha objective is removed at the beginning of the 4th battle round, for those of you who don't know, and controls it for 8 VP per objective in no man's land, right? Or that one specifically. And 5th battle round, all remaining objectives are removed, and 15 VP for controlling Omega, right? Could potentially be one of the worst primaries, maybe. The reason being, right, is that if you try to tech into what you might want to hold throughout the entire game, right, it might not work out for you, right? If you try to hold, especially, and a lot of people talk about this all the time, especially if you're trying to hold the closest or control the closest objective marker to you, which is 12 inches away, right, as opposed to the other one is 24 or 24 or 18. That one is obviously a lot further to control. You got to segregate your army. You got to really invest in that. All the games that I've played, hilariously, have always been the furthest one. It's never been the closest one that ends up being Omega, right? Because all those center objectives end up disappearing, right? And it's always the furthest one I always got to go to. And I played this game, an awesome guy, right? Love this guy. I would consider a friend of mine. His name is Thomas. And he was playing with a Norm emissary, right? And for some reason, he just knew that was going to be the objective marker to hold. And he put 2 of them on there. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. So I had to throw like 12 different 8-bound at him. I don't remember if I think I did end up taking it from him. Anyways, it was definitely a fun game. Home objective markers do not matter, right? So anything in your deployment zone really doesn't matter when it comes to getting points for VP itself, right? But that doesn't mean that it doesn't matter for you trying to set up your army for success where you want to kind of deploy in the back end for deep strikers, right? Always remember, right? Deep striking is not the most effective tool to have, but it can definitely catch people off guard. I know we're going to continue to laugh about this, but you can definitely get monoliths dropped in your back 40, right? This is going to be a meme forever, right? But that's to prove the point, right? That, protect your back 40. If you got to drop one model back there so you don't get a monolith to drop in your deployment zone, and start chewing everything up from the back end, right? Just don't do it.
And while it doesn't count for primary, there's still a couple secondaries you can score off it, so it's still worth being able to be near it.
Yeah, you want to deny your opponent the ability to do, capture enemy outposts at any point in the game.
Yep. And the nice thing is, at the beginning of the game, you know which objectives are disappearing in what order, so you just have to plan ahead a lot better.
Yeah,
you do.
Typically, what I do is I'll deploy mid.
Yeah.
Funny story.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, so funny story about this mission. So this is supply drop. Pretty scary mission because of the randomness, right? Last time I played this, had a great unclean one, 3-inch deep strike, and capture my outpost, right? And you would think like with that greater demon back there, it's going to be game over. I actually won this game by 2 points, and it's only because I had a rhino. I had to advance the rhino, move about 16 inches, score 15 at the end, and then that closed it out by 2 points against demons. And this mission, this is a high skill cap mission, and this is also, you're going to win this mission in the movement phase. Like, you win because you can sprint. If your army can't sprint and it walks, you may very likely lose this mission.
Yeah.
Having mobility alive late is very important in this mission.
Absolutely. It's everything. This is the movement. This is the high skill cap. This is the movement mission.
It is.
Yeah. This is a mission that'll really tell if there's a skill gap between players. This is a mission that'll really play into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's really risky, right? It's a risky mission too, right? Where you try to hold one objective and you try to, invest everything on controlling that one objective, and then and then you can get 2 norm emissaries put on the right one, on the Omega one.
Well, I guess a tip I can recommend here is when you set up your army, it's really critical. When you set up your army, you don't know what's assigned as Alpha and Omega yet. It happens after everything deploys, including infiltrators. So what you want to do is if you've got your your rhinos, your Norn emissaries, your land raiders, you really want to put all these important things in the center, because you want to be able to flex to either side. So that's huge. That's the big skill thing.
Yep, this is where deep strike reserves, anything you can bring in later in the game so you can skew toward whatever table side becomes the important one, is very key.
It is.
So even if you don't normally reserve, this might be a mission where you do it.
Yeah. The free strat reserve that you get in 10th is massive. It actually it helps on a lot of, it also helps on vital ground a lot, which we'll talk about. But on this one, having the free strat reserve is huge too.
It is. No, great point, guys. Great point. All right. Now we go on to Mission Pool M. All right. So this is Crucible Battle. Crucible Battle, me personally, not one of my favorites, but I do like this mission. In particular, one of these, I believe you end up having 2 objective markers in the center for this one, right, to control. And vertical objective marker is only 10 inches away.
Oh, this is just 5.
No, I'm saying in no man's land.
Oh, yeah.
Between the home and vertical, right? These are a little bit further out. You have the one that's vertical to you is around 10 inches out. Hold 3 objective markers is turned in deployment into the hammer and anvil, right? Indirect is great on this deployment type. The reason that it's great, right, is that a lot of these objectives are going to be more so out in the open, right? And specifically, right, why it's great is because of the primary purge the foe, okay? Primary purge the foe, if you have an indirect unit, right, you have your basilisk or whatever it might be, right, and a close combat army like mine, which is World Eaters, is hiding all behind ruins, and you get first turn, I can't touch you first turn because it's Crucible of Battle. It's not search and destroy, right? You plink off one of my units, and you get points first turn, right? So you get 4 VP for that, and 4 VP if you control some as well, which you can kind of share, right? But you get an additional 4 VP, so you can get up to 8 immediately, right off the rip, right? So I'm sorry, not controlling, just killing, right?
Yep.
Also, you get a triangle type of style with that as well. You can reference the triangle to a lot of different missions, right? And I like to think of it like that, as where it's hammer and anvil, right? And hammer and anvil, transitioning your army to kind of go into a hammer and anvil situation. Sometimes it's advantageous, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're playing a novice player, and that player doesn't understand entirely how to position and deploy their army, and you can catch them off guard. And that's where World Eaters love to do. And soon to be orcs, right? So you get 4 VP for every enemy unit destroyed, and an extra 4 VP if you destroyed more. Right. So that's where you would get the additional 4 points, and that's why I was saying indirect is very good. You can get up to 8 points turn 1 with the indirect. Spore mines and weak MS units are a disadvantage on this primary, right? Because if you kill a spore mine, or if I just go out and kill all of your weaker units and your stronger units are hidden behind ruins, right? Then I'm going to get those Purge the Foe VP on you, right? So be very cognizant on if you're putting things out, if you're putting screens out, right? And you're trying to protect like these elite units, some people will just kill those screens, right? Drukari can hop back into their vehicles. There are certain armies and factions that can do that as well, right? Or just shoot, scoop, and get away from you, right? Pesky little Eldar and things like that. So a lot of good. I like Mission M. I really do. I'm not the biggest fan of the deployment, but I like Mission M.
Yeah, it plays a lot back into like old ITC missions.
It does.
Even if you have the MSU where you know you're going to fall behind on the kill, you still have a good advantage of keeping even on objectives. So this mission, I think, will tend a lot more toward very, very close games than a lot of missions.
Yeah, I noticed that too. This usually is not a blowout because you still score 8 basically just by playing the game.
You do.
So,
well, yeah, you just have to control one objective to get the 4.
Yeah.
And you just have to kill one unit to get the 4. So each turn, so if they killed more than you, if you can hold more, if they hold more, like you could hold 5 objectives, you still only get 8 points.
Correct.
This mission, I want to add that this mission has an element of kind of like, I want to say accounting to it, because for each battle round, you have to account for how many units both players kill. And then keep in mind, there's Overwatch and there's ongoing combats and there's all these mechanics, there's explosions. So these things that die on either player's turn actually matter. And the player who goes second on Purge the Foe has a distinct advantage, because the Purge the Foe, the kill more always scores at the end of the battle round, right? So if you go second, you know how much they killed already. So you have like a number to beat to score 8.
Yeah, going second is definitely an advantage in this scenario.
Definitely is.
And I remember a lot of times back in the old ITC, failed charge, an explosion in your line that kills a character or kills someone. Like, there's a lot of little things like that can completely swing a game where you lose 4 points or your opponent gains 4 points. That's unexpected. Yeah,
and I recommend to use a dice, or if you have trouble like keeping track or playing this mission in general, use a dice or a tally marker or something. Just keep track of how much stuff actually dies per round, and then it resets at the end of the round.
Yeah, I always use one colored dice for them, one for me, and you put them up on like top of a building or something where they're separate.
Yep. So you know exactly how many units you're purging. Yeah, I like that. Any insight from Utah?
Definitely incentivizes MSU. When you see that on that roster of like you're going to an event, you see this mission, you might want to second guess taking MSU. Right now with Custodes being really good and Necron's also being up there, like these elite units where it's like they have 6-7 good units and that's really all they have on their army roster. The swing back of losing kill more almost every turn can definitely be a detriment to MSU armies. And the objectives are kind of more out in the open. So I feel like you put your MSU out there to try to take over the primary, and then all these elite units that they could just stand there, and they're not losing the primary game, and they're winning on the kill more.
This is the one time that spore mines are not amazing too, because spore mines do everything great, right? They do secondaries, they can do all the objective stuff. They also disregard the scrambler fields, right? For infiltrators. I don't know. I don't play Space Marines.
No, I think that rule trumps almost everything. It trumps all the Grey Knight, deep striking, 3 inches, all that.
Minus spore mines. Spore mines actually
because spore mines are placed with shooting. They're not deep struck in. They don't happen in the movement. They don't happen in the movement phase. So they get around Space Marine infiltrators.
They do get around Space Marine infiltrators. Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Absolutely, 100%.
I unfortunately know that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Space Marine infiltrators specifically happen in the reserve phase of the movement.
I'm checking. I'm checking.
Nick's like, hold on, I gotta verify this.
yeah. Believe me, I looked for every loophole.
I am your verification.
Right.
Like I played this mission at your GT, and I played it into Drakari with my Necrons, and it was once I saw the mission came up and I knew I was playing Drakari, it was kind of like it's gonna be a little rough, my friend. You know.
Yeah. Spore mines, dude. Spore mines are amazing, right? Spore mines are amazing, but this is the one time that they're not amazing because you just shoot them with your pistol, right? And you kill that spore mine, you're like, there's one kill, right?
Okay, verified. Lewis is right. Correct.
Yeah. Because
spore mines get around it.
If infiltrators worked against spore mines, NIDS would not have the win rate they have.
Exactly.
Because there are so many Marines out there.
Spore mine's still number one.
Yes, spore mines. Can somebody put up an emoji of a spore mine, please?
It's in the slides. The slides with the little mushroom. Like that's a spore mine, right?
Those are orc mushrooms, good sir. That's for the weird boys. How do you think the weird boys do all their psychic abilities?
I had something else to add though, because we were talking about
go ahead,
Purge the Foe. So this is a big one. This is a big one for teams. So Florida ATC. ATC. So this comes from Art of War. This is a specific tactic.
Shout out to Art of War.
Used by Art of War. Yeah. So and this is specific to Purge the Foe as well. So last year ATC. Jack Harpster, very well known player. He's running 30 Grey Knight Terminators with 3 characters, Caldor Drago. Almost so it's anti-MSU. He has about 5 units. He has like 5 drops total in his whole army, something like that, right? And it's they knew going into ATC that Purge the Foe is round 5. It's the finals, right? So that list. That anti-MSU list has an innate advantage in that mission because it's so hard to score 8. You can't score kill more if you just can't kill your enemy. And so we're for Florida ATC on Saturday, or actually on Sunday, we're going to play this round 4. So near the end of the tournament again, we're seeing Purge the Foe. And guess what? Surprise! Art of War is bringing knights. So there you go. There you go. Purge the Foe.
Oh my gosh. People just tuck it in. So who is it? Are they all? No, obviously they can't all bring knights, but who's bringing knights?
Really, really good knight player. I think his name's Brian.
Okay.
Well, if they're with Art of War, I assume they're not good players. I would assume they're great players.
Shots fired. You reeled it back. Come on, man. I wanted to harp on that and talk more junk about Nick. No, I love Nick. Absolutely love Nick. Nick Nalavati is one of the best people, one of the best personalities out there, man. He's a really, really good friend of mine as well. Shout out to Art of War, man. Thank you for everything they do to the community.
Yeah, I'm not having Lennon call me out first round every time he sees me. I know better.
Oh my gosh. All right. And then our final one, which is Mission Pool O. So Mission O. Once again, this is Crucible of Battle. We got back-to-back Crucible of Battle, or did I mess this up? No,
it's Crucible. Yeah, it's Crucible.
It's Crucible of Battle.
Yeah, it's Crucible of Battle. All right. So, that being said, once again, the vertical objectives. One of the vertical objectives, and if you're looking at it while you're on the table, that's what I mean by vertical or horizontal, right? It's 10 inches away. The other one's 26 inches away. Easy to hold 3 objectives. On layout 1, objective markers are hidden really well, right? Because you get that ruin aspect to hold it. Layout 3, the home objective can be controlled behind a ruin. But the vertical and center are wide open, so be cognizant of those, right? And layout 4, the home objective can be controlled behind the ruin, but the center is semi-hidden. So you get a little partial. So people, if they do proper angling, they can get, an angle to that situation. To that objective. But if you do some good positioning, maybe put a spawn unit on there, right? Just towing in right behind the corner, the bottom section of the corner, right? You'll probably do pretty well on that mission.
Well, and the middle objective disappears on this mission. So
yeah.
And this is the one that I was going to say correct.
only-
This is the
there's only
2
4
one.
objectives, yeah.
Correct. That's correct. There's only 2 in No Man's Land, and there's only 4 objectives in total.
Yeah,
So-
No
Typically a
Man's
very
Land.
low scoring mission.
Yeah,
overall.
No Man's Land is the key because you only get 2 for yours. You get 5
Yeah.
for each of the No Man's, and you only get 6 if you get all the way to your opponent. So it's only 1 point to make that full push. So it's better just to control the 2 in the middle than try to extend yourself for 1 extra point.
And this is big VP too. You could get 18 VP in turns 2, 3, 4, or 5 potentially too.
If you control all 4, yeah.
If you
But
control all 4.
If you control all 4,
Great.
you were going to get a high score anyway, no matter what the mission was.
Exactly. I want to say it was 2-4 for the centers, right? And then
No.
6 for your
2, 5, 6. It's only 1
2,
extra
5,
point
6.
for the opponent. That's what I'm
Correct.
saying. It's if you're only going to control 3, it's not necessarily worth pushing into your opponents and extending yourself to get 6 points instead of 5.
Yeah. That big 18 potential is more for like, I feel at the end of the game, like you've willed your opponent down to where you can now, like, especially if you went second where you're scoring, you know, at the end of your turn, you can be like, at this point, it doesn't matter. I'm going to move on to every objective, score 18, and that could swing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you've been playing kind of cagey, like just doing that hammer and anvil, like holding my home, holding that one to my left and being like, all right, like I'll do a little tradesy with some units, and if you start winning on trades and start just pushing on forward, yeah, turn 4 or 5, it's like then you just, you know, cascade the effect.
Yeah, but if you're just able to control the 2 middle and yours for all 4 turns, that's going to put you at 48 anyway. So you're only missing, what, 2 points?
2 points, yeah.
Yeah. I think this mission definitely supports a stronger secondary game over the primary game.
Correct.
If you go that route of saying, you know, that because the deployment zone, while you're still 10 inches from that further right one, depending on what side of the table you're on, it's the, you know, the one closer to your opponent's deployment zone. You know, you could try to like play around with like taking their primary away, but I think this mission more incentivizes playing better on the secondary, making sure you're scoring your secondaries as much as you can. Because if you and your opponent have kind of that stalemate where I'm going to stay over here, you stay over there, okay, who scores secondaries better?
Well, yeah, because it doesn't have that center objective to swing the. If you're an equal level player in lists, you're both kind of holding your own in one most turns. You don't have that middle objective to swing 1 or 2 turns. Yeah, so it's going to normally come down to secondary game.
Yeah, or you'll even see people take fixed and do deploy teleport homers, and they'll bait you to come move to the middle because okay, I'm going to sit here and do, even though it's only I think 2 of the 3 points first. I forget how much it scores on fixed. But you know, it's like even though there's no objective there, I could send this little cheap either lone op character or little cheap unit that just is going to sit behind that middle ruin and score me, you know, deploy teleport homers in the middle of the table.
Yep.
You have no real reason to go there, and now I'm baiting you to come into mid board or past your mid board where you're comfortable and start removing units that you're trying to stop me from scoring secondary.
Yeah, because you both go tactical and you get unlucky on your draws. Those couple points you lose just because you got bad cards and bad orders could really lose that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially against Orcs when the green tide comes out. Oh my gosh.
If you lose to Orcs, just quit. No good players.
I just want to control all the objective markers with Orcs in that mission.
I had someone say when that preview dropped, like, how do Orcs regenerate more models than Necron Warriors? I'm like,
So crazy tactical thing on this mission.
They're plants.
The objectives are so far. There's no center objective, and the objectives are so far apart. They're between the objective control areas. It's 25 and 1/4 inches. So that's further than basically any unit can charge for the most part.
Yes.
So this mission, well, yeah,
but not always about world leaders, Lewis.
looking back at the OP Eldar meta, you know, from 6 or 8 months ago, this mission, a lot of times when I was playing, I would describe this as being Vital Ground as being an Eldar specialist mission. The reason is because Eldar has all the stuff you need to win this mission. It's got the speed and it's got the guns. And on this mission, if you got your combat units, back holding your safe objective, they're practically not in a position to charge anything for probably 90% of the armies in the game. So combat might look a little bit weaker on this one. You might be you're pressed a little bit more to attack probably the enemy home objective, and then as you guys already said, fixed has a real potentially better than tactical here.
Okay. Tyler says, pro tip, turn 1, capture enemy outposts. Yes, that's what I'm trying to do in that mission in particular. Yes.
Anger on round 1.
Yes. Turn 1, 22 inches. Yeet.
Especially if you play tactical and you draw that first turn, like I feel like 50% of the players feel like they do.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I love drawing a free CP turn 1.
That is my favorite too. Get them all out of the way, right? Get all the trash out of the way. Get that free CP.
But it may not be trash for a lot of players. Like I feel like you guys did the secondary review, and even Nick hit on the head that you're down 8 points on a card that scores you big. And when you still have the capability of scoring that at any point during the game besides turn 1, it stings a little.
No, it actually worked. A game I played on Saturday, getting the trash out of the way early worked against Nids. I had a real tough game against Nids playing Black Templars, and I actually drew capture and investigate turn 1, and I just took a 0. I took a 0. I threw away 16 points there, and it didn't matter at the end of it. I basically got all the trash cards out of the way, and then I just drew good cards every turn after that. I was drawing good cards.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I feel like once I've drawn that and drawn maybe bring it down turn 1 where everything's heading, I'm like, all right, cool, that's a CP. You hear a lot of the top players say it's like, okay, that's just gonna be a CP, we're moving on, you don't let it bother you. But once you get the trash out, you're like, oh, cool, so now the rest of the game I can actually play.
Yeah. It makes it a lot easier. And that's why I play the traditional secondaries by the cards themselves. A lot of people do it on the applications. Also, I wanted to give people on here a tip for those of you who are just cheapskates, right? And don't want to spend, the $7 a month for GW Warhammer app, right? So you can get all the indexes to look at. Obviously, you got to buy into the codexes to armies that you don't like, right? To look at their stuff. But if you go to 39K Pro, okay, it's called 39K Pro. It gives you every army. It gives it broken down per detachment. It gives you all the information you want. All right. That is a golden nugget. I believe it's not an application and it's an actual browser. So URL. But check it out. So then when you come to my events and you're like, hey, I don't know this army. Yes, you do, because you have 39K Pro.
Is it going to be legal for pulling up rules?
No, but at least you'll know what your opponent does, and you can help them out in a friendly game. But no, as everyone knows, I'm a stickler when it comes to official documentation for rules. So it better be GW of some sort. And don't bring a priest with you that has GW on his shirt or something like that.
Right.
And don't tell me David told you that's how the rule works, because I know it's wrong.
Yeah, Max is called 39K Pro, and it has every single faction's detachment. It's a beautiful tool. It's a beautiful tool. You go in there, you put, for example, right? I hate the pesky Space Marines, right? And you want to know about Gladius detachment. And your friend is playing it for the first time and he doesn't know his rules well. Pop that up, click on Gladius, and it gives you everything. It gives you the stratagems. It gives you everything essentially GW does. Obviously, I promote GW application, right? It's more official. So don't show me 39K, as Todd was mentioning, right? But at least it helps out, right? It helps out for those who don't have the opportunity to look at those. And then what is it? Tabletop Battles, right? Is the application for any scoring. And then there's one more one more that my good friend Elfie was telling me about. I forgot the name of it. Board battle boards, something like that. Battle base, I think it was. And that's a newer application, which is pretty cool. So I like some of their functions, right? You guys know that I represent the whole UTC Goonhammer, so I'm all about the tabletop battles application. But wait, right? So Battle Base has a cool function. The user interface or the UI is not super amazing, but it has a great function. It allows you and your opponent to basically Bluetooth to each other and share the game scores, right? And it notates and keeps track of everything they change. So if they click -1 CP or +1 CP, you'll be able to see that on your end by coding, right? They can't ever get like additional CP unless they press the button and function where you'll be able to see it. So it keeps. The reason I don't like to promote this product, right, is that first of all, you shouldn't be a scumbag playing this game. Okay, no, serious, right? Like, look at my face. Don't be a scumbag playing this game. Okay. Second off, you shouldn't have to monitor your opponents like that, right? Most of the time, I keep track in my mind of exactly what's going on. Like, like Nick was saying earlier, for like Purge the Foe, I keep track on a die, or Matt was saying earlier as well. I keep, track on a die or keep it on a scratch piece of paper or something like that. If my opponent is keeping track of score, then that's a reference that I can go back to and be like, nay. I do not have 43 points. I have 53 points because you forgot paint or something like that, right? So things like that. A lot of great tools. Yeah, exactly, Max. Battle base, something like that. Yeah. It shows, what strats were used, when by which player as well. Great for reminding yourself when timing of strats. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there's a lot of great tools out there, right? And this is what OCS is all about. Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
It's always good to keep track of score, even if your opponent is, and keep track per round, not just a grand tally, because I've come to games where we're off by 3 or 4 points, and we'll go back and like, oh, turn 3, I scored this. Oh, yeah, you did. I didn't put it down. And a lot of times when you can backtrack through the game and find where you both are off, a lot of times you can talk it out and remember who's wrong and what happened.
Yeah. Especially when you're playing with, like, it's like, see, this happens with novice players and mid-level players, right? No disrespect to anybody, but we all have our different skill levels, right? Expert players, like these pro players, these Matt was talking about, like these Art of War guys, they're going to catch you, right? They're going to catch you when you're off with your rules or off with your points and things like that, when you're not playing the stratagem correctly. I'm going to catch you most of the time, right? Like, I understand exactly what goes into this. I know how much effort and points that I'm accumulating throughout the game. So don't be that guy or lady where you're just trying to take advantage of someone, right? Just play the game clean, do the right thing. Win or lose, who cares? At the end of the day, the game is what the game is. You're going to go home to your family, or you're going to go home and enjoy your TV, your Netflix, and then go to work the next day, right? It's really not that important. This is what we do in our leisure. This is our passion. This is our love. So just have fun. Have fun with what you do. Have fun with your friends. Build bigger bases, right? And that's it, man. Because sooner or later, you're going to get to a certain point where people are not going to want to play against you, right? And then you're not going to have friends anymore. Then you're going to run into a situation where it's just like, nobody wants to play a game against me. Now, I get that all the time, and I like to give flack to Nick because he's just scared. He knows I'm going to beat him, all right? So that's the only reason.
How about you play the New Orcs and I play the World Eaters?
It depends.
I'm just kidding.
I think you're both scared. Neither one of you has driven up to Virginia to play me.
When's Nova?
Normally around into August, beginning of September.
It is exactly around there. Yes. Yeah, I'm
Nice.
looking at my calendar now. It's end of August.
Yeah, we
I
got.
don't know, Nick. You and
go
I
out
have
there.
a grudge match to play after the last RTT.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, because I always like hate on the Krons. You know, I'm like,
Oh, I know.
I'm the chaos Space Marine basically. That's my. I mean, I guess that's my day one.
Well, see, I got something for his triple Catan crap, right? I can throw in a Mo with 10 Berserkers and yum, 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 yum.
But the thing is, by the time I see all you all again in person, it's going to be nerfed in the ground, so it's fine. Like, it'll be all right. And then I'm going to bust out my towel and be like, all right, hey, how we doing?
It's fine. I'm still playing Space Wolf, so I'll still be a level below whatever any of you are playing.
You heard it here first. Catan 369 points.
I don't know, Matt. That Space Wolf list that won a couple weeks ago, right, Nick?
Oh, the wolf jail.
It was like 15 wolfing.
Oh yeah, that's nasty.
Dude, that thing, yeah, it won like a GT. Dude, that is spicy. I was like, oh, this list is beautiful, and it's all about Space Wolves. Dude, that dude, shout out to whoever that was, right? Like, he did a number to Eldar, Sisters of Battle, Tyranids, Blood Angels, and somebody else. I don't remember, maybe Votan or something like that. But he did great. With that.
I joke around. Wolves are actually in a decent spot. Most Marines are. Especially with the multiple detachments, you can fit into a lot of different play styles and play the missions.
Yeah.
It's got to know to put some trash units in there. Got to put some scouts, man.
I think there were Cyber Wolves or Fenrisian Wolves in there or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Fenrisian Wolves are just auto for like getting those secondaries done. They're so cheap for what they do.
Do I wish I missed taking one Cyber Wolf for 15 points.
Yeah. It's just holding an objective with that 1/2 wound model. 4+ save, yeah. But you don't need trash units with that list, Todd, because you have 3 battle leaders on Thunderwolf Cavalry. You have Herald on Thunderwolf Cavalry. You have Logan Grimnar on Storm Rider. You have 6, 12, 18 Thunderwolf Cavalry.
Oh, good.
If I ever see that many 60 mil bases on the table, I'm just gonna get tilted.
It's just a part. It's like a wall, a mountain. It's crazy.
This is Beast of Nurgle all over again.
All right, I've only got half of them. I'll have to order the other half just to tilt Nick.
But you know me, Lewis. I love my trash units. If I could throw some trash in there to like just be annoying, I love my trash.
With 3 Catans, is that what you call trash?
They only move 6. You can cut.
Yeah, but they never die.
Bullcrap. I've had them die plenty of times.
They die. They definitely
die.
They throw grenades. They're weak against grenades for some reason.
Yeah.
True indeed. Yeah, they are. They are.
Death Guard give a issue to the army because if you tackle that with Nurglings, you pretty much make most of the army hit on 4s and 5s the entirety of the game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Death Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways to mitigate it, and also like fast armies like Eldar and Drakari, you could just kite the Catans around forever. They're only going to move 6. Oh, you advanced it? Cool. So it's not doing anything this turn? Wonderful.
Yeah.
Death Guard is a tough army to play. Like you're relying so much on those debuffs. You have to know all your opponent's rules.
Yeah. You need to know what debuff to throw out and when.
Yeah,
your opponent could, in a way, use that against you too. It's like, oh, you're taking that debuff. Well, I'm going to skew this way with the way I play.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else? Anything else we want to mention to the peoples?
Yeah. Anything about the team event? Anything about Florida ATC?
Ask your questions away, please. And ATVs. Look at this man with ATVs. Weren't we talking last week about? Matter of fact,
the Outriders
at the RTT. Nick, you were there at the RTT, so Outriders were like pretty present at the RTT.
Yeah, Alex playing them.
Yeah, because I was talking all about him on one of the last shows.
That's right, Matt. Matt was talking him up. Yep, he was talking him up to Max and all that. Yep.
Yeah, for the points they are right now.
Yeah. I mean, you use them for special case scenarios, like you were talking about last show, right? Like, yeah, they're pretty awesome for
They're
80
cheap.
points. You said, right?
They're cheap, fast,
80,
and pretty
yeah.
tough for what they do.
Yeah, they're 4 wounds. They're just good. They're all
T5.
around good.
Yeah. I was like, oh, somebody was listening to the show because Outriders are back, baby. They only had 1 unit. That's
Tip.
perfect. Yeah, pro tip. That's right. And you heard it from Matt. That's right. Because I don't play stanky Space Marines, especially the stanky dog Space Marines.
Oh, wow.
No, says Lewis, who started our real Space Wolf player chat.
Look, man. Okay? Just like Anakin Skywalker, I've come to realization, okay?
You've gone to the dark side.
And I've gone to the dark side.
It's for the better for all of us, honestly.
Well, Lewis, I just want you to know that I have the high ground, okay?
Ah, shots fired, man. Shots fired. I know. And then Palpatine is going to keep me away from all of my power because he's going to put me in that suit and just takes everything away. I know we're divulging here. We're talking about Star Wars. Hey, we're nerds.
I knew you were going to skew from Space Wolves when you kept Ally in with Thousand Suns at team tournaments.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious.
Did you guys hear that rumor today? This is the crazy rumor. So I guess the rumor is that in this edition they will make Grey Knights no longer their own army. They're now a universal Imperial ally. Crazy, right? Like, I don't believe it. But it's the rumor's
David,
out there
it's
now.
not true. Don't cry.
Don't cry, David. Don't do it, David, please.
It could be true. There's a chance.
Nick,
David,
I'll believe that when Harlequins get their codex again.
Ooh.
Dude, yes.
Right?
Yes. I can't wait till Harlequins drop.
I want a Harlequin codex. I mean, I really hope they get one.
I mean, Nick, if you want Harlequin models and a codex doesn't drop and you need some, holla. I got way too many now. 9 Void Weavers sitting since 9th edition.
I played against them.
Yeah, I remember that game, Matt. That was fun.
Yeah, Todd, baby, go in round 2 of RTT. I was like, I'm done with 40K for the weekend.
And then he took him the next GT and ran them and went 4-1 for playing them for the first time ever.
Yeah, that was Todd's fault. Yeah, Lewis, I was like, let me borrow your Harlequins for the GT. 1 practice game and went 4-1, and my only loss was to the other Harlequin player who won the event.
Oof.
Yep. Yes.
Well, that's like what I did with Garrett. He showed up to one of my events and he forgot half of his Eldar army, and I had actually brought my Necron army just in case someone needed an army. And I was like, well, if you still want to play, you can use this army. We adjusted the list, and Garrett swung the entire event just taking a list he's never played before, has never played Necrons before. It's like, it's infamous now in the community. It's like, we don't like that list. And congrats to Garrett to piloting something without any background. He's just like, oh, okay, I'll figure it out. And he just autopiloted it, basically.
Proof, Necrons takes no skill.
Ooh, shots fired. Where do you live again, Matt? Where'd you move to?
Virginia.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Oh,
I'll stop in on my way up to the next Cherokee Open, maybe.
Sounds good.
Oh, my
Give you some time to prep for me.
That's right. I think your Necrons are well on the plus side against me anyway already.
Yeah, I think they're definitely the nerfs that are coming are justifiably so. I think, there's someone rumored today that the Dazzlight's coming out in a week or so, and I'm like, well, we'll see. But I think like the biggest thing that probably Canoptic Corp could use is probably the Nurgle strat treatment, where it's an 18-inch as like a good starting point, where it's not a 12-inch loan off, it's an 18-inch. I think that's fair. Points I think more on Catan than the Wraith. Wraiths don't punch up. Like I know Gavin likes to run them more in that the Awakened, and they do punch up better in that. Because playing in the Marines with Wraiths is like, hey, we're gonna have a pillow fight in the center of the table.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Wraiths, shout out to Dirk. We played one time, and he had the Wraiths, and he popped back when they could get a strat for a 2-up invul. And I ran into him with something. He had like 8 saves. He rolled 7 ones, and I picked up the whole unit. I have never seen Dirk was so tilted. Oh my god! I thought, all right, I'm going to hold these Wraiths up for a couple turns. Nope, just wiped them.
Just wiped them.
Well,
Just let him roll dice.
bonus question: why do you guys think it's so hard for GW to balance wraiths?
Go on, Nick.
No. I'm asking you guys. Why do you like? What's the reason?
So, what I've been,
Because they're
playing
so top
Necrons.
heavy.
Yes, the expert Necron player, because I don't play robots.
Too much resin on the upper gravity of the model.
Yeah.
You fix that by putting magnets on the bottom, but
Yeah.
the thing is, like, wraiths are always in a weird spot, right? So Necrons always have this issue. They're a slow-moving army, and then they really utilize their fast-moving units to like play the secondary game. Even in 8th edition ITC, you wanted to get on those points early. You use wraiths. Not so much with gangbusters, though. I remember gangbusters being really like, yeah, you're not taking destroyers or wraiths with that. But back in 8th, they had a 3-up invul save. Yep. 9th, you really didn't see them all that much, only because you could throw the same invul on a 9-man scarab unit, and why not?
Yes.
For more wounds. I remember taking that to Crucible and like being like, it's a carpet. And then 2 Catans that are indirecting. Do you guys remember when Catans could indirect their abilities?
Yep.
Yeah, it was good.
The
Sky Falling Star.
Yeah, I think that GW has an issue with balancing like the auxiliary units for like Necrons. Like it's always the internal units that they are expecting players to take, like Warriors, Immortals, things like your Lich Guard, things like when's the last time you saw Praetorians or the Tombstalker on the table, the spider thing. A lot of the things that GW wants us to take, their data sheets are always outshined by a lot of the actual other units, and that's always kind of been a Necron problem. Like that's why I have 27 Tomb Blades, because when they're great, they're great, and when they're mad, they just on the shelf.
Tomb Blades are great, yeah. No, I mean Necrons have so many good units and like good like looking models like that. Even that like what is it, Sepulchral Stalker, like the guy with the 4 legs and the little.
Yeah, the Triarch Stalker, and I played him when I was learning the edition, but then in 8th, but like it has never been a good model. It's got low volume. Its ability has always been like, oh, it rerolls ones for the army. So it's like the only way to get captain rerolls back in 8th edition. But yeah, no, it's very the army's always been in a weird spot in a sense of like everyone's like gravitates towards the warriors, that aesthetic of Terminators, and it never like doesn't really play that well on the higher end tables. I think usually you end up skewing into like more of their niche units.
Yeah,
but at least you have all the options. I remember when they first came out, there was the Lord, the Warriors, and the Destroyer, which more looked like a little freaking hover bike with like sled, like a snowmobile. They were the most boring army in the world.
A friend of mine, we were going through his 40K stuff, and I found a Rogue Trader Necron Lord. Still a metal, pure pewter, unpainted. It was like shimmery. I was like, that's mine. It just sits on my shelf. I'm like, it just looks pretty.
Yeah, that was one of the first armies I ever played against when I got into 40K at the GW store.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. It's been a minute. It's been an absolute minute.
Yeah,
it makes me happy.
Outriders are decent again. Yes, Tyler. Oh my God.
They're cheap. That's the only reason they're good. They're cheap and fast. You can always find a way to make a cheap, fast unit do stuff useful.
Yep. And that's what you want, right? Certain things in the army. Sometimes you just got to build an army list that can deal with certain things. And that's what list building is about, right? That's the fun part about it. So that's why GW needs to drop my Berserker points already to 18 points per model so I can run 40 Berserkers.
Hey, next week, let's do it.
If I had a thing to say on points, is like I wish we were not playing power level points. I miss the granularity of 9th.
I agree.
A lot of like competitive players feel that way.
Not just 9th, it was that way going back to 2nd edition when I started for the most part. Like it's always been that way. You want a bolter or a meltagun, all right, you're going to pay different points.
Yeah. There's a weird, like certain war gear, I feel like it's okay to make it not inclusive to points increases, right? If it's like it's 2 different upgrades, so you're only getting one of the 2 where it's not a weapon upgrade, it's more of like a utility upgrade. But when you're having like the lack of granularity, like Tau right now still waiting for their points drops, but it's like it's 400 points for a 6-man crisis unit. Are you going to put all flamers on that?
Yeah. But on the other hand, you do take the
Maybe for orcs.
random upgrades that no one ever takes that comes up once every 20 games. Well, you have it now because you always take it. So I mean, that's only
like wraiths are a good example. Just to harken back to wraiths, like when did you ever see them taken with guns?
Never.
Guess what?
Never.
Oh, they're free. Now I'm going to take them.
What's like Wolfen with their little Top Gun? Why would you give a Wolfen that's BS like 5 or whatever they are a gun? But
Storm frag launchers, that nobody ever paid for. Yeah.
But it's because it's simplified, not simple.
Yeah. I mean, we could get AS4 treatment. We could lose half of a faction real quick.
I mean, as long as it's world eaters or orcs.
Yeah, I think the current system, I guess from a balance perspective, the current system, like how they have with power level, right now, it works a lot to the advantage of Space Marines, because Space Marines, I mean, have the most war gear overall. So if you factor in that really they're not paying for any of that, it really benefits Space Marines the most.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does, and I don't think it puts them above anyone. I think I still think they're upper mid tier.
I think they're getting benefit from it though. Like
they're the most versatile.
Yeah, they're the full toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
Or pirate orcs. Yeah, pirate orcs are gone apparently, Max. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
if Badrook is gone, man. Yeah, Badrook. If he's gone, man, that's gonna be. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't like to knee jerk. A lot of people today, right? And see, that's what companies like that want to hear, right? Any publicity, is good publicity. Like, dude, let the books drop. Let's see what custodes look like. Let's see what orcs look like. Because orcs might look great right now and be complete trash when a book drops, right? And custodes might look like trash now and be amazing when the book drops, right? So give us some time.
Oh, rapid fire question again. What do we think that Shield host attachment does now? What's the new rule for Shield?
If they're going to keep it in the same realm of what it does now, it becomes a 5-up instead of a 4-up.
Ooh. No, they said in the article it's completely different. Like they said you wouldn't recognize it or something like that.
Mm.
Custodes are immune to mortal and devastating wounds.
Oh, God.
Just immune to it all.
Yeah.
Like,
So you're pretty much telling custodians to continue to play their index. I don't know. I wonder if they'll work more with the katas instead of the idea of feel no pains for the detachment rule. Maybe they buff their katas better. Maybe they get extra AP or extra damage, depending on which kata they take during the combat phase.
Yeah, they said that Shield Host is melee. It's just melee combat focused, so it's generic. It's like Custodian Guard basically. So it's something that makes Custodian Guard better. We assume it must be. Yeah, it has to be. It's like the Custodian Guard detachment now.
Yeah, I'm thinking it could be like a up to the katas just because you're seeing a lot of DR or have damage, and we already seen Trajan's data sheet leak when they did a preview that he's pretty much losing his ability to ignoring half damage or ignoring DR1. So maybe, so maybe they're and wouldn't surprise me to see everyone's talking about the data slate coming out. I wouldn't be surprised to see the change also with Mortarion and Silent King in the same route, and GW realizing how strong of a rule that really is, even though Trajan's the cheapest option to take that ability. But I wonder if they could maybe do +1 damage, so that way when they hit a Redemptor Dread with DR1, they're still hitting on damage too.
Yeah, maybe that detachment, maybe they have a strat. They have a strat, or their army rule has to do with they can't be affected by minus damage or minus wound or something.
Right, something like that.
Army. It could be army wide. That would actually be pretty thematic, I think.
Yeah. That or they are DR1 across the army.
Yeah, that would explain why they nerfed Trajan, because it would just be redundant.
Yeah. And that's exactly good point, Nick. So, see, it's points like that it might be ubiquitous in the whole detachment itself, right? And now you're you just spent 8 hours of your day stressing, upset, they nerfed Trajan, and it's oh no, we gave your whole detachment this, and you're
And I think they really could do that. That wouldn't break Custodians. That would just be that would be decent game design, I think, honestly.
That Sisters of Battle one is pretty weird, though.
Yeah, not all the detachments are good.
Listen, the narrative players want to play with their Sisters of Silence. It's okay. Let them play with their Sisters
of Silence. Sorry, rather, whatever.
Sisters, it's fine. But the narrative players want to have their little sisters groups, like, oh, I got my flamer right here.
Yeah. That was just the rules and the interactions on the rules. I was just like, why? Why do we need to know trigonometry and geometry to remember these rules?
I had to read that. I had to read that stratagem like 3 times over with the fallback move for the Custodes because it took me a minute to like understand what they were trying to articulate in the sentence. I was like, oh, because at first I'm like, oh, that's great, like good, they got a reactive move, like you're good, like we're seeing that very commonly across Codex releases, right?
Correct.
And then I'm like, wait a minute, you need to really put some work in to even make that happen.
Yep.
And question for Lewis: what detachment rule do you think you want for Speed Freaks?
Isn't the Speed Freaks a detachment, or you mean rule? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
detachment for the rule. So they already said they have 4+ invul. So I'm gonna kind of talk about. I don't. If they have it like they did kind of last edition, where it's a 4+ invul, and then I can't shoot my guns, that would suck. That would really suck. So I don't want that rule. I hope they have 4+ and vulnerable saves, and maybe you take a penalty to shoot and you're hitting on 5s instead, right? And then you still get a 4+ invul. Because they've already said they get a 4+ invul, but I can almost imagine that 4+ invul is not going to be something where you can actually still shoot. And last book for orcs had that same deal. It was like you could turbo boost and get a 4-up, but you couldn't do anything.
You're talking about the vehicle detachment, right? Not the other one.
Yeah, Speed Freaks. Yeah, Speed Freaks. Yeah, buggies and everything. Yeah,
but
they had a particular. Remember, they used to have the books. What were the books that were called? And they had like 1 or 2 detachments in it.
The supplements.
The Psychic Awakening.
Yes, the Psychic Awakening. Yes, the Psychic Awakening. Right, and those they had a. I think it was the Cult of Speed. I used to call it Speed Mob.
Yeah, Cult of Speed can give their truck. Oh, it says trucks and buggies get a 4-up invul just by going extra fast. So that would be when they advance, I guess.
I'm just hoping they can still shoot, but I mean, does that break the game if you have like 19 buggies with a 4+ invul?
Oh, it's probably they probably get that rule. So Cult of Speed is probably 3 different rules, I would guess. So they get that. They basically get Jink. That's it. It's a 4. They get 4 of Jink. So they brought that back. That makes sense though. And then I hope it's like you said. I hope it's army-wide assault as well, because that would make sense. Vehicles gain assault.
Yeah,
it could be the whole army gains assault. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I don't need to advance in charge, right? Just give me the ability to go that fast and still shoot, right?
Yeah. Because orcs are missing the shooting identity too. And when we look at those 6 detachments, like I don't think they even really have a good shooting detachment. So they probably put Cult of Speed in that assault and Jink, right?
Are we not thinking the Gretchen detachment's going to be good with shooting with a bunch of cans and a bunch of the dreads?
They do shoot better, historically. But I mean, Grots are the smarter ones. I don't know. We'll see. They probably will shoot better with the mechs and things like that.
Yeah, we need to see if they give those orc dreads. They're going to need to give them like the wraith treatment, right? Like we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, they have a durability problem. That's like I think the biggest thing with the dreads. They have a durability issue.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And a dread mob would be awesome. Like just running a dread mob of a bunch of killer cans, dreads, grot tanks.
Yeah. I'm really excited for this orc book. This is the biggest. I think this is the most excitement I've had since the Space Marine book, probably.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait till we review it and talk about it. And speaking of which, man, we are an hour and a half in. We love you all. Unless someone else here has something to say, we are going to check out. Any questions before we go? Advanced and Charged Sisters would be cool for Vigilators. Dreads need some love. They do, Max. Bike detachment, auto left field, out of left field. Got it. Having bikes back again would be pretty awesome. Praetors as battle line +1 strength and AP for their shooting and melee. I can see that. I can see them using that. But all right, guys. Thank you to everyone on the show. As always, make sure to watch the next episode in about 2 weeks. We're gonna have the ATC Florida winners on OCS 7, and as usual, we'll have myself, Nick, Matt, and Todd wants to come back. He's always welcome. Thank you very much, Todd, for coming out. And
I thought you just said Death Dice and Robots was going to be on next time.
If he wants to, hell yeah.
I am always willing and able as long as my schedule for work allows me. That's like the kind of the only thing.
You said the winning team was coming back.
Hey, we're gonna try, man. We're gonna try. We got some.
Hey,
I don't know. We'll see.
That would be awesome. You did the episode before, and then you come back with the winning team,
right? And we can all just sit in this room, and that way it's just like one cam, and just makes life so much easier for you too. We don't have like 8 cameras from 5 people all across the state being like, "Yeah, I'm over here."
Oh my god!
And we did an actual breakdown of how ATC events work on episode 4. If anybody wants to go back and look at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's definitely vastly different from singles.
It really is. Yes, 100%. And then, not to, I mean, it's already out there publicly, but we'll talk about 8-man too in a coming months between me and Todd, and we're going to be judging those, and Nick and Matt probably participate. Hopefully, they both do.
I'm trying to get to some of them. Yeah, I love team events.
Yeah, and 8-man is going to be wild. So
I've never done an 8-man.
Yep. If you don't already know, Onslaught Gaming is putting on an 8-man NTL event in November 2nd and 3rd, Clearwater, Florida. Look out for that. I'm going to start doing the information for that one. But I do Crucible first, right? I do the Crucible GT portion. So I'm going to make sure that player packet is out before the NTL one. And shout out to Steven. He's a fellow U.S. Navy. Thank you for subscribing. Please like the channel, love the channel. Make sure to leave us a comment. Thank you to everyone. We absolutely love you guys. Take care. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.